Let me also share my screen. Is my screen visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Okay. Can you see this image clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we have understood that different microservices can be run on different ports. I'll just take this marker. I'll just highlight it. Okay, I'll miss it. Okay. So you look at this particular microservice, which is your it is giving you your first service. Okay, think that it is running on 8081 localhost 8081. So it is your first service. So it is giving you some resource. Okay, and we have exposed some endpoints here. Okay, so usually this, if we develop our entire application in one Spring Boot application, then everything will be available on this 8081 port number. So now we decided to make a microservice. Okay, so then what we do, we create the second service here. So the second service would be, one second. The second service is deployed on port number 8082. Observe here, this is 8081, this is 8082. So now this particular service is available in 8082/second message. So if a user gets to know that the first service is available in 8081 and second service is available in 8082, the front-end developer will going to access these URLs. Let's say. So there is no problem at all. But we want to group all our microservices as a single application and then present it to my particular front-end developer. Then he has to go through a particular gateway. Okay, so first what we need to do, we know that already that any Spring Boot application can be executed as an independent application. So you just configure it to a different port number, then that particular service will be up and running on a different port number. Along with this, what we need to do is we need to run something called as a Eureka server. What this Eureka server will do, this will going to help us to registering all the services on Eureka server. So my first microservice will try to, first we have to run this Eureka server. Okay, we'll see how to create this Eureka server later. Then we have to ask our first microservice to register with this Eureka server. Okay, then we will ask the second microservice also to register with our Eureka server. Okay, what this Eureka server will do, Eureka server is nothing but a registry. So whenever there is a request for a first slash message, then Eureka server knows that it is running on port number 8081. If you are looking for a second slash message, then my Eureka server knows that it is running on port number 8082. It is just a mapping between your request and the port number. So that information my API gateway will get to know by contacting the Eureka server. It will first, whenever there is a request, the client will going to always make a request. So whenever he needs a particular service called as a first service, then he will simply make a request to my API gateway, which is running on port number 8080. So you can observe here. So you need to able to run your API gateway. So this is a separate Spring Boot application. You need to run your Eureka server. You need to run your microservice 1, you need to run your microservice 2. So all these services has to run on your single machine. If you have to demonstrate this, then you need a minimum of 16 GB RAM. Otherwise your system will become slow. All of you, please do not try. So in your team, if anyone is having a good system capacity, you guys can try it out. Okay, so I'm not telling you that it is mandatory to all of you to implement it. Am I clear? If they ask you what is the API gateway, you should be in a position to explain them. If you have enough RAM capacity, or if you want to create two microservices and you just want to demonstrate this Eureka server and the API gateway, then that is enough. I don't want all of you to try this API gateway. Am I clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
यस सर
Because I
सर
don't
एक
know.
क्वेश्चन था
हाँ बोलो.
सर जैसे ये दोनों सर्विसेज तो यूरेका सर्वर पे रजिस्टर हो रही हैं, तो सर ये एपीआई गेटवे भी किसी पोर्ट पे रन हो रहा है, तो
हाँ.
इसकी भी सर्विस सर यूरेका सर्वर पे रजिस्टर होती है या वो
हाँ, very
इंडिविजुअली
good.
वर्क करती
हाँ, very good, very good. So that means it API gateway को पता होना है कहाँ पे है यूरेका सर्वर को उसको information fetch करना है बोल के. So suppose if a user is making a request to 8080, this is gateway / this is the service what he is looking for. Then my API gateway will talk to the Eureka server who are all have registered. I will demonstrate you how it will how you will be able to get to know that. So then it will get the API will get to know that the first service is available in 8081. So then this particular request will get routed to this particular port number. So my Eureka server is there to just to give what is the port number which is giving you first service. ये mapping कर रहा है Eureka server.
ओके सर.
Yeah. And suppose a user is looking for a second service, so he will going to give a port number of your gateway. Then he will make a request to this this resource. Then my API gateway will get to know where is it. So then it will give you the port number. Then you will going to access it directly. और user को पता ही नहीं चलेगा कहाँ पे है, कहाँ पे deploy हुआ है. So he will be knowing only the gateway here. So you'll be having the address of the gateway. Okay. Right.
यस सर.
One second. Okay, if you want any reference, so I just pass on the link, guys. So you can just search for implement API gateway. There are so many techniques, guys. Don't get confused on the internet. Okay. So you can just refer these things like you have a product service, you have a user service, so you have a payment service, you have a promotion service, everything you want the client to access it. Okay, so you're going to make an API gateway and then you're going to allow him to access those services. Okay. So basically, why do we do this is to make a single API gateway to just to make a single entry point for our services. So what will happen in this case? So there will be multiple entries. So client can directly access the product, directly access the user. So that's why the name is called as a API gateway. So here itself, I can block somebody. Suppose if he is not an authenticated user, I can do the authentication in the API gateway. Instead of doing the authentication for a product service, user service independently, I can integrate that authentication in this gateway itself. Here itself, I can block him. Okay. So basically you can see here, this is your Eureka server, Eureka Discovery. And then there is something called as a Cloud Gateway, and there is something called as a Spring Boot Actuator. So this actuator is a tool which is already designed by our Spring framework to check what is the condition of my server. Okay, so that means I can check the status of my Eureka server, which are all the services registered, how they are performing. So what is the status of my particular
सर मॉनिटरिंग के
server?
लिए यूज किया जाता है ना
Yes.
सर्विसेज के
Yes, yes. All these things are already built, and you just have to learn how to use them. Okay. See, for example, okay. One second, right? See, for example, guys, if I have to do create an API gateway, one second. I think I can directly take you to the coding. One second. One second, guys. Okay, we'll do one thing, guys. So before I start, I just want all of you to go through some contents here so that we can discuss. Okay, so let me give you some of the links. You guys can just spend 15 to 20 minutes on these things. API gateway microservice using Spring Boot. Yes, guys. So this is what I want all of you to go through it first, guys. So this one is a nice, decent link to where you will get the complete information. All of you, please refer this last link which I've sent you. So basically, is trying to give you an example how you can create one Eureka server. So on top of your Spring Boot application class, you just have to write enable Eureka server. So this will become your Eureka server. So this is available in this Netflix package. So Netflix has made this Eureka server available as an open source. So my Spring Boot has adopted this Netflix. We know what is Netflix. The same people, same group of people have created this Eureka. So maybe they have used the open source and they have customized this Eureka server The same has been adopted by my Spring Boot framework also. All of you read about what is this Eureka and what it does for us and what is the purpose of this enable Eureka server. So if you write this, so then this Spring Boot application will run as a Eureka server. Okay, so and then we need to create the microservices, and we need to add all these dependencies. You just go through the dependencies, then in that particular microservice that you are creating, so you need to write where is the Eureka server, where it has to register it. So we are running our particular application, for example, our first service on this particular port number, and we are informing our microservice that this is where our Eureka is there. Okay, so this is just a configuration that we need to do, and we have to write one more annotation here on top of our Spring Boot application that we want to run it as a microservice. That is, we have to just write enable Eureka client. So we don't have to write any application for it. Automatically your microservice will become a Eureka client, and it will get registered as per your application property that we're going to give it here. So the creation of server will going to happen using enable Eureka server. The creation of client will going to happen with the help of your annotation called enable Eureka client. Okay, so and then you can create multiple services, microservices, guys. So you can see here, you can run them on different ports, and you have to register. You need to locate where is your Eureka server. So you will be running 3 Spring Boot application. First, you have to run your Eureka, then you have to run your microservice 1, and then you have to run microservice 2. So both of them will register with this particular Eureka server. So you already have your application. You have already identified a microservice. On top of that Spring Boot application, you have to write enable Eureka client. So similarly, guys, your gateway will also be one more Spring Boot application. That means you will be running one Eureka server, one you will be running one Eureka server, and let's say microservice 1, microservice 2. They will be client to your Eureka server, and also you will going to run one more microservice, which is a Eureka client, and which will work as a API gateway. Okay. So totally 4 Spring Boot applications you have to run, guys, to demonstrate this.
सर जो यूरेका क्लाइंट है वो अपने आप को मतलब itself वो रजिस्टर करता है.
हाँ, you have to give a specification there. For example, here. So in your application properties, no, you have to write that Eureka.client.server URL .default zone equal to this. This is the path of your Eureka server.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So and similarly for your gateway now, so you need to this is also a client for your Eureka server, but it will going to summarize all the services available in the particular gateway. So what are all the things we are going to specify here? So it will go into my gateway is also a Spring Boot application that we need to understand. It will going to run on a particular port number, and we need to specify that where is the Eureka server. So this is our server URL. Okay, and then we need to specify which are all the paths available. Okay, so suppose you can see here, this is my gateway. Okay, So you need to give us a property like cloud.gateway.routes. So this is my ID called employee module. Okay. So what is the name? So you want to give the name as first service. Okay. So what is the we'll talk about these configuration, guys. So whatever comes with a /employee, okay, and whatever comes with a /consumer will be treated as a second service. We'll talk about that configuration. So again, your gateway will also be an Eureka client. So ultimately what will happen? So first we have to run our Eureka server, which will be running on, let's say, port number 8083. So isko launch karna hai pehle. Then we have to run our microservice 1 and microservice 2. So then it will get registered. You can see here, it will going to show you the first service is running on port number 8081. You can observe here. And the second service is running on port number 8082. And API gateway service is also running on port number 8080. So sab dikhayega Eureka server. So when you get this, then you can make a request. So for example, you can make after running this. So you need to run. You need to go to the gateway and make a request to employee /message. Then it will go automatically route to your 8081 port number, and you will get the result. You don't have to go to the specific port number. You will go to the gateway port number. And also, guys, just like how we do the configuration of various services available, we can also configure our gateway for various services available. Okay, this is the way we configure our employee service, and this is the way we configure our consumer service with my gateway. Okay, there are two ways to configure my gateway. Either you configure it using your application properties. You can configure using your application properties. So this is a format in which they have given in a Gradle format. So Gradle here, the thing is, for example, so it's very simple, guys. So we have used server.port. Here they will going to use server. There is a tab space is there, and then they'll specify the port. This is nothing but in our Maven, it is server.port equal to 8080. Correct now? So similarly, this one is eureka.client.server_url.default zone. So this is the property. Okay, this is the key. So instead of putting dot, they have used this colon. This is Gradle. Okay, so this is Gradle is also a build tool, just like our Maven. And also you can see that this is a Spring application dot name is gateway service. The name of this application is gateway service. Okay, so and then this one is, for example, you look at the tab spaces here. Spring.application.cloud.gateway.routes. So this is the routing information. So this is the first route, and this is the second route information. I can also do that using Java configuration. You will see them practically later, guys. So yes, ultimately this will go to all my services will go to register with the Eureka server. That means my first service, my second microservice, and my gateway will also get registered here with my Eureka. Okay, so my Eureka server is called as a discovery service. So discovery means every new microservice has to register there, and my gateway will get to know that which are all the services available in my Eureka server. Okay, so and then so whenever a request comes to my gateway, then it will be able to communicate with the Eureka server and discover it. on which port number the employee service is available, and then it will going to automatically route that internally to that particular server. Okay. Okay, right, guys. So it's a very simple thing. Everything complete architecture is available here, guys. So I want you guys to understand this flow of your application through this diagram. I want all of you to quickly go through this. Okay, you guys can take half an hour. Then we will continue with the demonstration. Am I clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All of you, please go through this diagram and please read through it. Okay, is my screen visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Right. So, okay, guys. So first, what we need to do is we need to create one Eureka server, guys. Okay. So a long back, I had worked with something called as a Kotlin, guys. So basically, this particular Eureka server is also a Spring Boot application. Okay, so my Spring framework people have already created this Eureka server. They have already configured this open source Netflix Eureka server with a Spring Boot application. So what do we need to do? So we need to create a Spring Boot application. So that Spring Boot application needs to have one dependency. That dependency is called as my Spring Cloud Starter Netflix Eureka server. Okay, so now I need to add this particular dependency. Along with that, I also needs to have add a dependency called as Spring Cloud dependencies. I need to add these two while creating my Spring Boot project. Okay, so okay, so I will add this dependency called as Spring Cloud dependency, and also I will add one more dependency here, something called as a Spring Cloud Starter Netflix Eureka server. This is my Eureka server, guys. Okay, and then my application resources will be properties will be very simple. Okay, so I'm going to set a port number for my Eureka server. Usually 8761 is the default port number for my Eureka server. And also, I don't want this Eureka server to register itself, because Eureka server is a discovery service. So people will register their port number along with the service name. Here, I don't want this application to register to itself. So I'm just making that register with Eureka equal to false. Okay, and also I don't want this Eureka server to fetch the registry. So I'm making these two properties equal to false. I want you guys also to explore about this. I'm also going to give you the appropriate link here for you guys, so you can also explore about it. Okay, so it's about adding a Netflix Eureka server. Okay, right. So now let me just give you the link, guys. All of you, please store these links for your further readings. Right. See, usually what happens when you start presenting your project, let's say you have answered all the fundamentals. Okay, then they will ask higher things. Okay, so they will ask you whether you have understood the project, whether you have written the code. So once after that, they might ask you about something called as Eureka server. So if you answer Eureka server, then they might ask you about API gateway. So like that, the complexity of question increases when you start answering all the fundamental things. Okay, right. Make sure your fundamentals are strong. You get to know about your project, you get to know about your implementation and flow of your project. Flow of your project is very important, guys. Then on top of it, this Eureka server will come, API gateway will come, etc. Okay, right. So now what are we trying to do here? So there is an open source by Netflix. They have released something called as a Eureka server. So the same thing has been integrated by my Spring framework. Okay, right. So basically we want to discover as a particular service. That is, we call it as a service discovery. So when we make a request to this particular Eureka server, it should be able to give us where is the service. So similarly, guys, so let's see what we need to do here. So we have to implement 3 microservices. Okay, basically your service registry, that is Eureka server, will be running as a separate Spring Boot application. We call that as a one microservice. Okay, and then we need to create one Eureka client. What do you mean by Eureka client? So you have created one application. That particular RESTful application itself is a Eureka client. Okay, what it has to do? So this particular whatever application you have developed has to register itself with a registry. That means Eureka server is a registry. Okay, and then your client has to register with your Eureka server. Okay, but we are not going to create a web application, guys. Okay, we are not going to develop the front end here. Okay, don't get into this particular topic where your client is getting created. So we are not interested in creating the front end for it. So what are we supposed to do? How we create this Eureka server? So as you already gone through, so I just have to add this dependency, and I have to write on my Spring Boot application. I have to write one annotation called enable Eureka server. So you can observe here. These are the 2 dependencies I need to add it to my application. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and create one Spring Boot application. So let me put all of them one second, guys. I just want to create one folder, and then I want to work 1 second. Okay, it's not allowing me to create here. 1 second. Okay, anyways, let's create one project here, guys. New other. So I want to create one Spring starter project. For this particular starter project, I'm going to name it as my server. Eureka server. I'm going to call this as service registry. I'm going to call it as Eureka. Okay, let me just check. So I'm taking a Maven. Okay, all these things are standard. I'm just moving ahead. So here what I need. So I need a cloud dependency. Okay, so you can see that. 1 second. You guys can see here. So there is something called as a Eureka server. Okay, so I need to add this particular dependency for Spring Cloud Netflix Eureka server implementation. Okay, let me select this. One second, guys. Okay, I think that's it, guys. So let's see. So I've just taken a one Eureka server dependency, and then I'm just trying to finish it. Let me close all these application properties here. Okay, my application has become hyphen mappings there. One second. Okay, one second. Okay, not. I think we did not. Okay, where is it? Okay, here is our project which we just created.
सर अभी import हो रहा है नीचे.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, it's getting created. Okay, guys, let's check the our dependencies. You guys can see here. Okay, it's telling me that the RAM is low, so let me just close all other tabs here. Okay, actually my system is running very low on my RAM. Okay, anyways, if I fail to run all my microservices, so I'll switch my laptop, guys, later. So let's give a try, then I'll switch it. Okay. Okay, guys, you can see automatically it has added our cloud dependencies also. So we just selected only this Eureka server, guys. So now we need to add some application properties here. So you can see that application properties will be, it's just a Spring Boot application now, so there is nothing there. This is your this is just your Spring Boot application. Okay, you have to make this as a Eureka server. So you need to write @enable Okay, not getting that annotation. One second, guys. Okay, you can see that my Spring has already implemented this annotation. So that is, I can create the Eureka client, or I can create the Eureka server. Okay, server related configuration. So I just take up this. So this is one part. So after creating your Spring Boot application with the Eureka server dependency, you just have to make your Spring Boot application. On top of your class, you need to write enable Eureka server. So this application will going to run as a server. So now I have to write this application properties as well. So what all the application properties I need to set? So basically, guys, I need to specify where my server has to run. Okay, so now I will write server.port is equal to the server port number is 8761. 8761. Okay. So similarly, I have to set Eureka client. Okay, let me just copy this. So in Gradle, this is the syntax, guys. So whereas in Maven, it is Eureka. Okay, let me write it at the bottom so that you can refer it. It is Eureka dot client, okay, dot register with Eureka, REGI, register with Eureka is equal to false. I'm just showing you both the things because I think tomorrow I'm going to take up this Gradle also. So Gradle is similar to your Maven, only the syntax of your application properties and your syntax of your dependencies will going to change. So this is your Eureka property. And then similarly, guys, I also have register client dot fetch register, fetch registry. Fetch registry is also false.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So what does it mean, register with Eureka and fetch a registry?
See, basically, you are creating it as a discovery service, correct? No. So everyone will try to register themselves. See, for example, there is a server running, and to that server, I have to say that okay, I am one microservice, and I'm running on this so and so port number, and this is the name of my application. Okay. So everybody will going to register with that particular server.
So we are saying that we don't want to just register.
Yes, yes, yes. The server don't want to register with itself. Okay, right. So and it don't want to fetch the registry also. My client wants to fetch the registry, or my API gateway wants to fetch the registry, and my client wants to register with the Eureka server. My server does not want to register with itself, and it does not want to fetch also. Okay, so this is the configuration that I want to do it for with my Eureka server, guys. Okay, so what do I need to do now? So I just have to right click and run it. So this is how I create my Eureka server. So the question is now, let me just run it and see how it looks like. So that's all. This is just a 3-step thing that I need to do with my Eureka server. I want all of you to observe what is happening here. So of course it is running on a Tomcat server. So it's also one of the microservice, guys. Don't forget it. Where is it running? It is running here. And also, guys, try to understand your dispatcher servlet is also started. So that means the request has already gone to this particular server. We did not make any request now, but automatically a load has been given and your dispatcher servlet is also up and running. Okay, so now what do I need to do? So I need to go to this particular port number and I have to access it. So let me go there. Let me go to the local host. So this is not a Swagger UI. So it is running in this particular port number. Sorry. So port number is, okay, sorry, where is it? Oh, it's not showing. Okay, 8761. 8761. Okay. 1 second. So I wanted to see the dashboard, but I'm unable to see the dashboard. Let's see why I'm unable to see the dashboard. I should get a dashboard, something like this, guys. Okay, give me a second. Let me check. Enable Eureka server. Okay, I think Spring Cloud starter parent, did we add? Once. Okay, the dependency is not there. Okay, 1 second. Okay, let me add that dependency also here. Okay, let me format, let me save it. Let me try to rerun it also. So you can see here. So the client configured to neither register nor query for data. Okay. Right, 1 second. And also it is exposing one more endpoint called /actuator. Okay, I think 1 second. Right. So now let me just go and hit that. Okay, actually my particular server is up and running right now. So, but 1 second. One second. Did I miss any of the dependencies? Let me just start. Okay, one second, guys. Let me just update the project once again and try it again. So that's all about the configuration, guys. There is nothing much to do there. Okay, some problem with these POM files, guys. Give me a second. Okay, guys. So there was some mistake with respect to my POM file, guys. So now you guys can see here. So just now my Eureka server is up and running. It has just started. Okay. So and also you can see that it is running on a local host, and it does not have any registered applications yet. No instance available. There are no registered services with respect to my Eureka server registry. So these are all the general information about your Eureka server, guys. And this is where it is running. This is the particular IP address. Okay. Okay, we'll see that what is the use of this IP address later, guys. So my status is up and running right now. Okay, so you can see that. Okay. So now let's create one client, that is a Spring Boot application. So that will get registered with this particular Eureka server. So now what do I need to do? So this is my Eureka server. So now I have to create one Eureka client, guys. I'll go to new. So that means you have already created one Eureka or microservices. Okay. So how do you enable that particular microservice into an Eureka client? Okay. I'm just creating a project. That is my Spring project, guys. Okay. I will call this as Eureka client. Let me call this as client one. Client one. So we know that this is our Spring Boot application, guys. So what do? I just make this as a Spring Web application. Okay, that is, it is a RESTful web project. Okay, so similarly you will have a Spring Data JPA, etc., etc., etc. So along with that, so what else you need? So because I want to create a client, so I want to write one enable Eureka client annotation. So I want to create the Eureka client now. So it is a Spring Boot application, okay, which will run as one microservice. Only thing is it will going to have a dependency called Spring Cloud Starter Netflix Eureka client in our class path. We need to add it. That means we need to add it to our POM file, and we need to write enable Eureka client annotation in our configuration. Okay, so now what are all the dependencies I need? So I need this Eureka starter, and I need to make this as a web application, Spring Boot starter web. Okay, so now 1 second, guys. So you guys can see here. So I had added the Eureka server earlier. So now I want to add it as discovery client, a RESTful based service for locating a services for the purpose of load balancing and failover of middle tier servers. Okay, 1 second. Do I have to add this? Okay, let's check it. 1 second, guys. Okay, whatever other dependencies you need, you guys can go ahead and add it. So my client one is getting ready, guys. So let's check the POM file. So it is a web application and it's got this Eureka client dependency as well. Okay, is this much clear, guys? Any questions till here?
No, sir.
Okay. So now my first step is over. That means to your existing project, you guys have to add only this dependency. Okay, what is the next thing? You go to the application where your Spring Boot application is there. So, and there you need to write one annotation @ enable Eureka client. Because you added the Eureka client dependency, it is automatically taken that enable Eureka client. So if you expand it here, we'll get to know that it is coming from Eureka package. It is a package under Spring Cloud. So under that Netflix is an open source. Then under that Eureka server. So this is a Eureka client. So now we know that we need to set the application property. Excuse me, guys, 1 second. So now let's look at the application properties. So for that particular client, you need to give the application name, guys. What is the name of that particular application? Let's say it's a customer service, or it is a product service, it is a login service, it's a registration service, it's an admin service. So whatever your name you want to give, that name you have to give here. So actually, guys, this is in the format of YML. Okay. So either you can create application.properties or you can also create application.yml file.
सर YML फाइल जो है वो एक्सटेंशन वर्जन है ना प्रॉपर्टीज का.
No. It's a one more way of putting your properties. That's all.
ठीक है.
So you guys can see here Eureka client server service URL where it has to find the Eureka server. So the default Eureka URL is this. So wherever your Eureka is running, that URL you need to give. Okay, so right. Okay, guys, so let's try to give our application name here. Spring.application.name. Spring.application. It's showing me error. 1 second. So I want to give the application name here, guys. So whatever name you want to give, you can give name there. So let's say I want to give this name as a registration service. Okay. So then I want to specify this properties. Let me just copy this. Eureka dot client dot service URL service URL One second. Okay, some dependency is missing, guys, so that's why I'm not able to add this property, that is Eureka client server default zone here. Okay, so let me just take up these things. So these are all the things you need to specify here. Okay, you can see here. Okay, guys, so when I was typing, it was not taking, but complete address it is taking now. So you guys can see here, this is the location of my server, Eureka server, and we need to give a port number also for this. Let me give a port number, server dot port is equal to. So you can see my server is running on 8761. So this is my service one. Let me run it at 85. Okay, let me save all the files. And also let me write one service there, guys. Let me create one class. Okay, this is my service one controller. Okay, so this is this I want to make it as a REST controller at the rate REST controller, and there I want to write one demo get mapping there at the rate get mapping. So I'll just do the get mapping of the root. I'll write one public method here, guys. Public string greetings. If you make a request to this URL, it will return you welcome to service 1. Okay, so whenever you are going for this, so if you hit this particular route, then you need to get this. Okay, so now let me run this on after running my server. So you can see that my server is continuously polling for any new service which wants to register with our Eureka server. Okay, it is continuously running. Okay, now let's try to look at our service server dashboard, guys. So let me refresh it. Okay. Okay. So what it is saying is it will take some time to refresh your instances. So right now there are no instances. That's what I wanted to show here. So let's go back and let's run our client now. We have already configured all these things, guys. You just have to add those dependencies and add your annotations here. So now this is my second service. So now let's see what happened to my second service. Okay, you guys can see here. So my second service is this. So you can it is okay. Let's see what it is saying. So just trying to start our Eureka client application. Okay, one second. One second. It is going back to the server again and again. So I'm just switching to the Eureka client here. So you can see here, it is also trying to get all the instances from the Eureka server. It is trying to connect with our Eureka server. So the response status is 200. That means it is getting established with our Eureka server. You can see our discovery client is initialized. So it is getting registered as a registration service, guys. Okay. So you guys can see that. So we are registering this as a registration service. Okay. So you would have given any other name there. So, but I have given as registration service. Let's go to the dashboard, guys. So, and let's refresh our dashboard. So all of you please observe that our one of our Spring Boot application, which we executed, now got registered with our Eureka server as a Eureka client. You can see this is our server. Server got to know that there is a service available called registration service, okay, which is available in this particular port number. Okay, this is our IP address, and this is our registration icon service, which is running on port number 8085. And the status is up and running. Yeah.
सर इससे पहले हम जो एप्लीकेशन रन कर रहे थे वो उस पे आईपी एड्रेस असाइन नहीं हो रहा था कोई भी.
See, IP address means so it is just a port number which is assigned to a particular port. It is just a identification, unique identification on our local host to that particular port number. Come back with your question once again. It was not giving you. You were telling that so our application was not having this IP address. That's what you were trying to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that particular Eureka server is getting started on this particular IP address. That's all.
Okay, sir.
One second, guys. Okay, no, it's just 1 second, guys. Okay, now you notice that, but this particular service is available with our Eureka. So now how do I access? So I need to go to our local host. So I know the particular Eureka server number, that is 8761. I'll go to 8761 slash, I'll go for my registration service. Registration icon service slash, okay, registration service. Okay, I'm not getting this. 1 second. Yeah, right. So you can see that my service 1 is available on this particular port number, guys. So this is your server port number, and in that server port, so slash 8085, your welcome service is available. Similarly, guys, all other services will be available in this various port numbers. So because you have to access those various services using this port number, we implement a gateway. Through gateway, if you access, you don't have to remember which port number you need to explore. You can access them with the help of your, for example, your service names or your application names. Okay, so now like this, we can create n number of services and we'll be able to access it. So now let me just try to create one more service here, guys. Let me replicate this. So let me copy this and let me paste the same project. I'll name it as Eureka Client 2. Okay, this is my Eureka Client 2, guys. So I'm going to change my application properties. So I'll call this as admin service, let's say. So I want to run it on 8086. So, and it will also get registered with the same Eureka server. So here, okay, I'm going to call this as service 2. Okay, right. So now let me run my client 2 also. Okay, something went wrong. Let's check. Okay, my client 2 got terminated. Why it got terminated?
The same port.
No, but we changed the port number, no? We changed it to 8086. I think we did not save the files. Okay, let me save the files. Okay, you can see my service 2 is also up and running. So this is my server. This is my microservice. So this is also running as a microservice, guys. Okay, so Eureka server is also running. My client 1, this is my client 2, microservice 1, microservice 2. Okay, so now let's go to the dashboard. So let me refresh it. You guys can see admin service is also available and your registration service is also available. Whatever microservices you create, everything will be visible here for you guys. Okay, and this is the port numbers where your services are available. Okay, so now let me go to 8086. Okay, actually this actuator is not available. I'll talk about the actuator later. So let's go and visit this service. So that means all your services will be available here. Okay, is this much clear, guys? Any
Yes,
questions
sir.
here? Okay, simple, no? So whatever you have decided, so have you guys written your microservice service architecture? How you want to split your project? Which are all the services you want to run it as a microservice? Have you decided, team leaders? Team leaders, I have already given you a clue which are all the services you can run it as a microservice. Have you identified it? I'm going to give a freedom to you guys. If you decide to make a particular service as a microservice, you should have the justification. Am I clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay, ठीक है. So now वो identify करके उसको microservice बना के उसमें you just add, you make that as Eureka enable or enable Eureka client.
हेलो सर.
Yeah.
सर हम एडमिन और कस्टमर को अलग अलग सर्विस कर सकते हैं ना माइक्रो सर्विस.
You tell me why you want to do like that.
सर बिकॉज एडमिन जो है सर वो मॉड्यूल पूरा अलग है, कस्टमर अलग है. कस्टमर के अंदर देन प्रोडक्ट कार्ड वगैरह. एडमिन को अगर जैसे कार्ड वगैरह की इंफॉर्मेशन कस्टमर की इंफॉर्मेशन देखनी पड़ेगी तो हम वो एडमिन की माइक्रो सर्विस का इंटरेक्शन करा देंगे कस्टमर की माइक्रो सर्विस के साथ.
Very good. See, the thing is, so you want to run this particular admin services so separately as a microservice because so let's say you combine this admin service and a client service together. What is the disadvantage? If a client service is down, admin cannot access the service. If admin services, something goes wrong with the admin service, then client cannot access the service. Your application will be down for both of them. समझ में आ रहा है ना?
Yes sir.
Right? Okay. Okay, right guys, so let's go ahead and implement the gateway. So let's see what are all the things we need to do it in a gateway. So let me tell you guys, API gateway is also one Spring Boot application. So quite interesting how people have done that. So let's look at the POM file. Okay, basically this one is a Kotlin project that I was taking up for other company. So you can see that there is a Spring Cloud Starter Gateway. Okay, so this is the dependency that you need to add. Okay, and also you need to add one more dependency called as Eureka client. So it is also a client for your Eureka server, but it is a gateway. 1 second, guys. Okay, guys, give me 10-15 minutes. Meanwhile, can you guys try with these Eureka server and Eureka client things?
Yes, sir, sure. Sir.
Yeah. I'll upload them to the Google Drive, so you guys can just give it a try. Or if you want to do hands-on, you can go ahead and do the hands-on. How you want to do, guys?
Sir, uploaded. If face any issue, you can refer
Okay,
to
ठीक है,
Google.
refer करो ना, ठीक,
Yes, sir.
वो भी ठीक है. Then shall we do the API or gateway integration? Shall we do it after the lunch break then?
Yes,
I
sir.
think we have only 30 minutes is there. You
Yes,
guys
sir.
do this hands-on. बाद में उसको API gateway के integrate कर लेंगे. एक minute. Okay, demos. Okay, so we have so many demos. Okay, I'll create one folder. Shall I make it as Eureka?
Yes, sir.
So समझ में आ जाएगा, ये Eureka है. So let me just try to get the Eureka first. So client 1, client 2. Okay, guys, go ahead and check it. And also let me give you some reference for our gateway also. API gateway. I think I've already given you. Okay, let me just check. You guys can also refer these YouTube videos as well. So we can also have something called as a configuration server, guys. So I'm not going to discuss about the configuration server. So because see, suppose whatever information you want to, however you want to configure your API gateway, we can also create one more service called as a configuration service. Okay, it's also runs as a separate Spring Boot application, and from that application, it will going to read all the configurations. So for example, we will have some database password, username, and all those things. So if you don't want to publish, so you can keep it in a safer configuration server. Okay, so let's not worry about the configuration server. Okay, anyways, I think this one is good enough. Okay, you guys can also refer this. So first you try to implement your Eureka server and client. Then you can refer this for your gateway. Okay, basically, guys, what we need is we want to build a gateway. Let's see what this gateway will do for us. So let's assume that we have divided our application into a smaller microservices. Like this is my organization service, department service, employee service, etc. So I want to build a common gateway so that I can aggregate, I can group all these services available in a common gateway or common URL. Okay. So then This particular gateway will also act as one of the client for my Eureka server. So this particular gateway needs to register with my server, that is Eureka server, as a gateway. So then my gateway can query what are all the services available in my particular server or Eureka server. Then whenever someone makes a request to my service, so then it will be able to get to know, it will be able to discover on which port number these services are available. So I think in my previous link, 1 second, I had given you one more link now. 1 second. Okay. So all of you, please try to observe this. Suppose without a gateway, what happens? I need to know the server port number. Okay, so or my microservice port number, then only I will be able to access those services. But I want to group them up here, and I want to. This is also a Spring Boot application which I'm going to deploy it on given particular port number. So what will happen? So my Eureka server is also running as a microservice, guys. So my gateway application will going to get the services deployment address from a Eureka server. Okay, so deployment addresses, that means the port numbers, my API gateway will going to get it, and then so whatever there is an incoming request, so it will get automatically routed to those port numbers. So I don't have to, or my client does not have to remember all the port numbers here. So these particular port numbers will get dynamically binded to my Eureka service. So these services will be identified by my service name rather than my port number. Right now, all of us will identify the services by the port number. We are always worried about the port number. But when we deploy it onto the cloud, we do not know which port it will get deployed. So it will be dynamic. So by using the Eureka server, my port number can be dynamic. So no more, we are not concerned about the port numbers. It will automatically binded by my Eureka server. So whatever port it gets binded, so I need to remember what is my service name. So let's say this is my first service, this is my second service. So I don't have to worry about on which port number this service runs. So whenever a user is making a request, so you will simply make a request to my gateway port number. This is my 8080, and this is my employee service. Okay, when you make an employee service request, wherever my employee service is running, so you just have to register with the Eureka server. Eureka server will go to tell the gateway that it is available on port number 8081. Or let's say it is running on XYZ port. So it will get to know, and that request will get automatically routed to that particular port number. So now it is not statically binded to a particular port, whereas it will be dynamically binded to the port number. So let's say this particular port, this particular microservice is down, I can relaunch a service in a different port number. I can register the same service running from a different port. So the service will be available, and my gateway will be able to get to know from a Eureka server, and it will be able to get the service to the caller. Okay, you can see 8080 employee service, 8080 consumer service. I'll be able to do this. So right now what is happening? I will be able to access them using the port number without a gateway. So if you have only the implemented Eureka server, you cannot hide the port numbers on which your service is running. Okay, I want to expose only my gateway. So now let's try to implement this particular gateway. One second, guys. So we understood that this particular gateway is also one of the Spring Boot application. Let's create that Spring Boot application. Let's try to understand what all the different dependencies that we need to put here. You guys can see, okay, I think this is Eureka server. Okay, this is a Eureka server, guys. Okay, you can see we have done all these things. Okay, so this is a Eureka client. Okay, we are in the Eureka client. You need to give a service name there. Okay, and you have to give a default zone of your Eureka server. So this we have already done it. So we have already done enable client on top of our microservice. So now we want to create a gateway, guys. So this particular gateway can be configured by the property file, that is application properties. You can see that we need to add a dependency called as Spring Cloud Starter Gateway. Okay, and also we need to make that it is a client to my Eureka server. Okay, these two dependencies we need to add. Okay, let's create one Spring Boot application and make that as a gateway.
Sir, you are muted.
Yeah, there is some background noises going on, so I just muted. So yeah, I'm just creating a new one more Spring Boot application to run it as a gateway. Okay. Okay, you can see that I'm just creating a Spring Boot project. I'm just naming it as a gateway. So whatever application you are creating, you can make that application dot gateway. Okay. Suppose you are creating an online shop, so you will be making it as you will be writing that application name here. So for example, you are doing online shop dot gateway. Okay. Right. So what are the dependencies I need to add now? So I know that I need a discovery client, and also I want a gateway. Okay, then I'll try to finish it. So let's check the POM file, guys. You can see Spring Cloud Starter Gateway should be there, and I should have a dependency Spring Cloud Starter Netflix Eureka client. Okay. Right. So what I need to do now? So I need to, okay, let it develop. I think I'm almost done with the project creation. So let's just check. So this is my Spring Boot application and this is my application properties. Okay, we need to set that application properties now. Let's see what is the setting I'm supposed to do. Okay, 1 second. Okay, guys, I need to set the port number. So let's set it to some default port number. I would like to run my application, that is my gateway application, in port number 8090 because 8080 is already occupied for my laptop. So I'll just set my server dot port to 8090. So this is my gateway port number. So then I want to set my default zone for my Eureka server. So let me copy that from any of my client here, guys. So let me just copy this application property of my default zone. So my gateway is getting, where is my Eureka server? Okay. So, and then I want to name my gateway as a gateway service. Okay. So now let me write my name of my application as a gateway service. This one is gateway service. Okay, and we are trying to configure our Spring Cloud Gateway routes. So what do you mean by route? So for example, whenever employee, we are going to give an ID like an employee module. So it will going to be identified by the service names which we have given in our microservices, which we have registered with our server. So for example, so whenever there is a request for a path employee with any of the extensions, so then it will going to take us to the first service. So similarly, whenever there is a request for consumer in the URL, then it will going to take us to the second service. Okay, so now let's try to take this into our application. Right. So these are all called as a static routes, which we are trying to configure here. So we need to configure this Spring dot cloud dot gateway dot routes. Okay, so we can also build a YML file and we can use it, guys. So, but I'm trying to put them in application properties itself here. So routes. Okay, I need to specify the ID now. 1 second. So how will we specify the ID? 1 second, guys. So there are different ways to specify these properties. Okay. So this is the way we specify using application or a Java based configuration. So we'll go there later. So let's try to configure them with the help of our application properties. 1 second, guys. Let's try to configure this. Routes dot 1 second, guys. I think better we go for the YML format itself. Give me a second. So let's we can define this particular things in an YML format also. We can make this as application.yml, guys. One second, let me just check. Okay, let me create one more file called as application.yml here. Okay, let's create that here. I want to create a YML file. Let me create a file. So I will call this as application.yml. So you can see that application YML file got created here. So in this particular file, I just want to add these properties. So you need to understand that under Spring. So I want to configure the application, and under application, this is the application name. So similarly here, guys. So my application and my cloud are coming under my Spring. So you need to observe the tab spacing here. So this is also coming with the same tab space. So that means this is Spring Cloud Gateway routes. Okay. So now let me try to configure this using this. Okay. So from my application properties, let me remove this. Okay. So my gateway is having one YML file, so which contains in YML format. So we are trying to specify that. So these are all the constant routes. There are two routes available for me. One is for my employee. So instead of first service, it is getting identified what is the first service we exposed. So let's check it in our application properties. We have called it as a registration service. So otherwise, you can go to your cloud dashboard, and also you can take it from there. Let me just take it from the cloud dashboard there. So this is my registration service. I can just copy it and I can paste it here. And the second service name is admin service. I can take it and I can paste it here. Okay, so this one is registration. So this one is anything which is coming for admin. Okay, so the registration, you can think about this is your user or customer. So customer is going to this particular service. Whenever you make a request for customer, so this will go to this particular service. Similarly, whenever you go with admin, then it will go to this particular service. Sorry. Yes. So, and then I need to make that this particular Spring Boot application also as a Eureka client, so that it will going to fetch the information from my server. So let me go to the application here and let me make this as @ enable Eureka client. It's showing some errors there. Let me check what is the error. Okay, let me update this project, guys. I'm getting some error there, so I'm just updating my Maven project. Okay, you can see that my API gateway got updated here. So if I run it, so my API should get registered with my Eureka server. Okay. So let me run my API gateway, right, guys? So this is my API gateway service. So this is the name of the service. It should get registered to my Eureka server running on this port number. So let me just check whether my gateway is running. You guys can see that my gateway is also running now. So now let me go to the dashboard, guys. So let me reload. So you guys can see admin service is running, gateway service is running, my registration service is also running. So now I should be able to access my admin service and my registration service through my gateway now. Okay, so my gateway port number is 8019. Okay, so now let me just, so you can see that. So my service is available directly with my Eureka server. Okay, so let me close all this. So this is my service 1, this is my service 2. Okay, now I need to access this particular service with my gateway. So this is my local host. So my gateway's port number is 8019. Okay. Sorry. So you can see that this is my gateway. So in this gateway, I need to make a request to my services, which I have named here. So through my gateway, so I want to access my service, that is my customer service. Okay, so customer is I have mapped to my registration service. So I'm going to make a request to /customer. So I will write it as slash customer slash. Okay. One second. Guys. One second. Guys. I think I need to configure one more property there. I think I missed it. One second. One second. Guys. Okay, you can see that the services are getting registered by the name of the service, guys. So, but here I'm getting the IP there. So I think I need to change my server configuration there. I think when I ran my server, I did some configuration in my application properties. You guys can one second. Okay. So we have done these things. So that is register with Eureka false and fetch registry false. You guys can see here, this we have done it. So, but this particular Eureka server is not getting any name there. Okay, Eureka or discovery service, we're just giving a name and we are giving a default zone that we have not done it. Otherwise, 1 second. Just give me a second, guys. Let me just check why we are not able to get this. Okay, this is the Java based configuration. So we will try this later if we don't get this. Okay, let me just restart my services, guys. So give me a minute. Let me stop all the services. I'm just stopping all my services. Yeah. You can see that I've just stopped all my services here. Okay. I think I have two more properties here, guys. See, suppose I just want to identify them with a lowercase also. Okay. Okay. So let me just add these properties here into my gateway. Okay. So now just I want to run my Eureka server, guys. Let me just give a try. Then let's take a break. If it does not work, give me some time. So I'll just work on it and then I'll give you a demo. Okay, my server is running. Okay, we are making this IP address preferred address equal to true. That's why it is showing the IP address there. So let me just remove this, guys. Okay, from my Eureka client 1, I just remove this. Let me save my file. And also let me try to rebuild this. Okay, let me run my application. So this one also I'm just commenting it. Let me just check. Okay, my service 1 is running. And also I'm trying to run my second service also. Let me try to access my dashboard here. You guys can see admin service and my both my registration service is also available now. But still it is giving me an IP address there. Okay, never mind. Let's see. Okay, it's a problem with the some of the configurations, guys. Give me some time. Let's try it once. So you can see my API gateway is also up and running. So we have not added the actuator, otherwise I would have got this information. So now let me go to the gateway. So from the gateway, I want to access my admin. Okay, admin. Okay, guys, I'll just have a look into it. All of you, please take a break. So then we'll try to look into the session. Okay, guys, all of you, please take a break for 15 minutes. Do come back.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.